Have you ever fallen in love online? Maybe with a person or a product or an idea that failed to deliver in real life. Today, it's easier than ever to craft a polished online presence, which makes it harder than ever to know who or what is actually real. When I bought my condo in Chicago, it came with a tiny wooden balcony that overlooked power lines and trash cans in the alley. But I filled it with plants, I hung a few bells, and I could just squeeze 4 people in around a mini grill. To entertain myself during the pandemic, I created an Instagram page for this place, and I shared it with friends like it was an exciting new bistro that I called the Chicago Bell Garden. Soon after, my phone rang. A plant-based meat vendor had seen a glamour shot that I posted of a competitor's burger online, and they wanted to know if I could be persuaded to serve their burger on my menu instead. I apologized, explained I wasn't really a restaurant, and I hung up. And then I checked the post. It had just 3 comments and 4 likes. But somehow I'd been identified as a vegan meat influencer. And it didn't stop there. That fall, I received a surprise case of vegan cookies at my door, and then 5 pounds of kimchi. Have you ever seen 5 pounds of kimchi? It's a lot of pickled cabbage. Some corner of the internet had tagged my garden as important, and now they were counting on me to promote their products. And as a sales leader, I recognized this playbook. Find a thought leader, seed your message, and count the customers that come. But this garden's influence violated everything that I knew as an academic. In the late 90s, I spent a lot of time mapping networks of people and tracking how ideas flowed through them. And communication researchers agree that your position in a network dictates your influence. But by that logic, my garden's 4 cramped little chairs shouldn't have any. Specifically, we measure something we call centrality, how central a person is to the flow of information. And in this network diagram, we see 2 groups of people that are highly connected within themselves. But the person in yellow that bridges those 2 groups has a lot of social capital, because they alone control the flow of information and introduction of new ideas to everyone. In the companies where I did my research, these were the rare folks who could both empathize with a frustrated customer and collaborate with engineers to architect a solution to the problem. They're the connective tissue, and they're highly rewarded for it. And so when a spice vendor in London sent me 120 pounds of steak rub, fortunately for my rickety little deck, it was pounds sterling, not weight. They did it because they thought that I would unlock a vast customer network. But the Chicago Bell Garden isn't a bridge to anyone. I'm just a guy with a baby queue. What really happened is we replaced a person in our network with a social media website. And its algorithm is now playing that powerful central role. Now, when a person fills that spot, it comes with a cost. My influence is tethered to my reputation, and if I introduce you to a business partner who scams you, I lose my status as a bridge. But the algorithm pays no reputation tax when it feeds you garbage. These platforms want to keep your eyes on them and their ads. And so they measure every millisecond of your hesitation. And if bad information makes you pause for even just a moment, it sends you more of the same. And so while human bridges are optimized for truth and veracity, algorithmic bridges are optimized for velocity. And that speed is easy to trick. Brent Underwood showed us this in 2016 when he self-published a book. It was a single-page photo of his bare foot. Now, within moments of the book going for sale online, Brent and his friends bought 3 copies. And that speedy burst of engagement was all that Amazon's algorithm needed to start marketing it as a bestseller. Brent manufactured false social proof for next to nothing. And because the algorithm is connected to everyone all at once, it can blast nonsense farther and faster than any human bridge ever could. The orange people in this diagram, they're pretty disconnected from their community. They're the odd neighbors at the end of the block with conspiracy theories of their own that nobody would vouch for. But online, they're just as wired in as you are. The algorithm doesn't care about the truthfulness of their post, just whether it makes you slow the scroll. And when they do, the machine forwards the message further. That's why in 2019, the town of Normal's Facebook post that got the most engagement was a photoshopped image of turkeys crossing Jersey Avenue on April Fool's Day. Now back then, fake images took people with skill and time to develop. Today, I prompted an AI tool to make a video of turkeys leaving this auditorium, and I had a credible clip in less than a minute. And it's not just about an engaging or arresting image. Today, savvy users can buy armies of bots to retweet and comment and like their content for just a few $100s. And that further amplifies the engagement that the algorithm sees. Now, at this point, you may be thinking, this is all just silly digital party tricks. I mean, who really cares about some turkeys or a foot book? But it works for important things, too. In 2025, social media erupted with calls to boycott Cracker Barrel's new streamlined logo. Their stock price dropped 14% in 2 days. And within a week, they reversed course and returned back to their previous design. Later, analysis found that up to 49% of those calls to boycott were generated by bots. But by the time that truth came out, the design team had already been replaced. The algorithm was rewarded with engagement, people were rewarded with pink slips, and potentially one person funded a cheap digital coup to advance their personal design aesthetic, their political point of view, or their financial interests. And the same tactics can be used to manipulate what we think about which politicians we should trust, the social movements we join, or even how we feel about ourselves. It's part of the design. So how do we solve it? We can't just unplug from the internet. But we can fire the algorithm from its role as gatekeeper to new ideas and recenter humanity where it belongs. We begin by auditing our bridges. When a new idea makes you fearful or angry or ready to buy, ask yourself, who brought this to me? If the answer is the feed, treat it as a sales pitch until proven otherwise. The algorithm is a broker, and it's selling your attention to the highest bidder. And so if you don't actually know the person who vouched for the information, you don't really have a source. You've got an advertisement masquerading as fact. I know a couple who has this financial rule that I just love. You can spend $500 on anything you want, but for more than that, you've got to consult your partner first. We need a similar rule for our intellectual lives. If a cat video just costs you a small chuckle, go ahead, spend it. But if a post demands your money, your vote, or your outrage, those are high-stakes investments. Don't make them alone. Instead, take them to a personal board of trustees, any group of people whose real-world judgments you trust. And if they wouldn't buy it, neither should you. The internet is designed to be frictionless, sliding us from one idea to the next without thinking. And so we need to reintroduce friction, deliberately throwing sand in those gears. When you read something that triggers a strong response, don't just dive straight into the comments. That only teaches the algorithm that its bait worked. Instead, do something radical. Open a parallel browser and search for ideas that contradict what you just read. When we seek out the competing opinions before forming one of our own, we put ourselves back in the network driver's seat. The Chicago Bell Garden, it's not a real restaurant, but it is a real place where I've gathered with real people to swap stories, debate ideas, and experience the joys of the world entirely offline. The internet is important. It can connect us with people and ideas that are far bigger than could fit around my tiny table. But we can't outsource our social judgment to a machine that doesn't care if we're well-informed just because it's got us well-engaged. So do the hard work. Pause the feed. Seek out the bridges that you can look in the eye, who you know care enough about you to tell you the truth. That is how we fire the algorithm, and that is how we reclaim our humanity.